Good morning, guys. On today's episode of the John Campea Show, The Whale, the Brendan Fraser movie that he's an Oscar favorite for, has dropped its first trailer. Deadpool 3 director Shawn Levy is in talks to direct a brand new Star Wars film. Should John Williams return to score the new Henry Cavill Superman movie? Gears of War has a live action feature film coming to Netflix. Sylvester Stallone is not very happy at all with Creed 3. Our brand new segment, Top 5 Tuesday, is today, and our first top 5 is the top 5 best films of Steven Spielberg, and the Black Panther Wakanda Forever reviews are now in. We talk about that and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, cutting from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world: movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good things. Nobody in here is $2 billion richer, but nonetheless, we are so happy to be here. Sitting right beside me, of course, is Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing?
Hope springs eternal. Nobody won. There's another drawing Wednesday, John.
It's going to be what, like 2.2 billion or something?
Yeah, and I promise I will buy your channel if I win. And I'll give you $10 million for it. And you get money, and you get money, and all the people get money.
Yeah.
Until you win it.
Until you win it, then it's like,
I'll give it all away.
Mine.
I forgot about all these Criterion 4Ks I haven't bought yet. That needs to go.
Hey, there's a sale. Barnes & Noble.
Of course there is. Sitting right beside him, of course, joining us on this fine Tuesday, Christian Harloff is here, ladies and gentlemen. Christian, how you doing?
I'm good. I thought he was doing an impression of Lucasfilm. You can have this, you can have that, you can have that. Here's more money for you. There you go.
We're getting to that. Sitting back there, joining you guys in the live chat, of course, is Ray Ora.
Hey.
Jonathan Voico is nervously not at the controls today. We've got the intern, Taylor Gonzalez, is going to be running the show here today. The pressure's high, Taylor.
Somebody wish me luck.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying your job's on the line.
It is.
Rail say it.
But Ray'll say it. And sitting right beside Taylor, we got Kaylee Robinson in here today. Kaylee, how you doing?
Doing well.
She's just getting ready to jump in and take control in case Taylor needs to throw a life raft out somewhere.
Okay.
All right, guys. Here's how today's show's going to go. We're going to break it down into two parts. The first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. You got to be watching live, but then when we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. We only leave them open for just a couple of minutes, so that'll be your time to fire in your thoughts, theories, comments, and questions, and we will address those in the second half of the show. Also, a little bit of housekeeping here in case you need your fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube channel. Good news. There's an audio-only version of the show that we creatively call the John Campea Show podcast. Go onto your favorite podcasting app of choice and subscribe to it today. By the way, we also have a secondary feed that we simply call After Show. That's the place where we talk about shows like, House of the Dragon, Andor, of course, new episode of Andor tonight. Very excited about that. So go and subscribe to that so it'll be there when you need it. All right, guys. That's all the stuff. So let's get into it here right now. We're going to start with a couple of off the tops. And our first off the top is this. Everybody loves Brendan Fraser. I have yet to come across somebody who says, I don't like? That Brendan Fraser guy. I'm sure there are some people out there that feel that way. I've never heard those comments before. So everybody's beloved, and so everybody's been excited about his comeback. Now, of course, he's been getting a lot of attention lately because he's been getting Oscar buzz for his new film, The Whale. And everybody's been raving about it. It's been a darling on the festival circuit. Everybody's cheering. Everybody's hooping and hollering about it. And a lot of the advanced inside industry awards pickers are saying he is absolutely the front runner. Well, now we, the general public, actually got our first look as the first trailer for The Whale has now dropped and is up and online. And I will say this, as somebody who has not seen the movie yet, I knew that you can't tell anything from a trailer, right? A trailer gives you a few quick key shots. Hopefully it gives you a sense of the movie, it gives you a little bit of sense of the DNA, tells you a little bit about what it's about, that kind of stuff. But you can't watch a trailer and say, oh yes, this is the Oscar favorite. This is the Oscar favorite. He said one line, well, he's got 2 or 3 lines in the trailer. But the last line he says about people, as I'm assuming he's talking to Sadie, his daughter in the film, The one line, I was telling Rob this before the show started, nearly broke me. Like I'm watching this and I'm like, this guy, I'm only hearing about 30 seconds of dialogue out of this guy's mouth, and like kind of one scene where we truly get him full in frame as he's delivering his lines. And I'm like, oh my God, that broke me. So look, you can never say, just give this guy the Oscar now from a trailer, but just give this guy the Oscar now. Just because if that one little sample size is indicative of what the entire performance is that he gives in the entire movie, that's going to be a fucking difficult thing to overcome for any other actor that's got hopes for Best Picture this year. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see the little teaser for The Whale. What did you think?
Like you, when he said people are amazing, I was like tearing up, misty-eyed, and there was just something about, because it's, you know what it is? It's the juxtaposition of these images. It's an atypical teaser, where you're just seeing these rooms and you're hearing a little bit of sound and voiceover, and then it cuts to his full frame face, where obviously he's a sympathetic character when you first see him, but the way he delivers that line, I was like, oh, I mean,
yeah,
right in the heartstrings, man.
I tell you what, that CGI is great too. I'm kidding, it's not CGI. They actually, he talks at length
600
about
pounds.
Christian Bale did.
He ate Christian Bale.
he talks a lot about how long he had to spend in the prosthetics chair every day. Anyway, Christian, we've been hearing all about this movie for a while now. It looks like the hype might be real. What did you think about the trailer?
I thought it was great, and I also think that something that we probably all know is when you bring up Aronofsky's name and what he's able to bring out of actors and what he's able to do, and just the way that it looks. It's just kind of gorgeous, albeit short.
I'm glad you brought that. It visually looks beautiful.
Gorgeous. And then because I think that because of the buzz and everything, we were right away looking for Brendan Fraser, obviously, but I'm a big Aronofsky fan also. So watching the way that the shots were coming in, just the understanding he has for character in general and how to really bring that in the forefront, and with the performance that apparently Brendan Fraser has. I was watching a show called The Affair for a while that really, it was good really in season 1 and 2, then it kind of fell off.
That's the guy from The Wire, right? What was the main guy?
Dominic, who was it?
No,
I always say Cooper, but it's wrong.
That's wrong.
But it is Dominic something.
Yeah.
Dominic West.
Yes. Who is now in The Crown. But anyway, Dominic West is the lead of it. But Brendan Fraser shows up in, I think, season 3 or season 4. I can't remember. And he's phenomenal in it. But it was a lower watch show, so not a lot of people were talking about it. So his comeback has been on the rise for the last couple of years. He's been making them. He didn't just kind of pop out of nowhere. He's been doing things.
Doom Patrol, he's been great in.
Yes, so he's been in things. But this is the one I think that's going to put him back in that position. And when you look at where he came, this like the leading man from The Mummy and School Ties and all these movies, back to now the fact that he can be this vulnerable and allow him to, because he's had interviews where he's had a lot of pain and he's talked about it in the past and things that he's gone through mentally that he's now clearly bringing to this role. I think it all shines. I agree with you. I think that even though it's a very small glimpse, you can see that the power that this movie's going to bring.
Yeah.
I mean, look, for all we know, we may watch the whole movie and go, oh, that one moment is the only good performance he has.
I
mean, it's possible,
Yeah.
but I'm doubting it. Like with Aronofsky, like you said, pointed out at the helm. And anyway, guys, we got our first look at the Whale trailer. What did you think about it? It didn't give us a hell of a lot, but for you, did you look at it and go, oh, now I see why there's been so much hype? Maybe it didn't do much for you. Whatever your guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here, and that is this. Somebody's in talks to direct a new Star Wars movie.
No.
Water wet. According to news that has broke this morning, and I'm not going to lie, this is an interesting name. Shawn Levy. One of the guys behind Stranger Things. He's got a long list of great movies. Recently, he's been on a really good role. I loved Free Guy, and now he's doing Deadpool 3. Well, according to Deadline, Shawn Levy is in talks to direct his own Star Wars film. This comes from Deadline, who write, Deadline can reveal that Shawn Levy is in talks to come aboard to direct a Star Wars film. We are trying to pry loose details of the plot and writer, but we can tell you Levy will focus on this one after he completes the job of directing Deadpool 3 at Marvel and Disney, the one that brings Ryan Reynolds together with Hugh Jackman. This comes at a prolific moment for Levy. He is in post-production on the limited series All the Light We Cannot See, for which Levy directed all 4 episodes. That series is for Netflix, where he will also direct the last 2 episodes of the 5th and final season of the streamer's signature series, Stranger Things, which Levy executive produced through his 21 Laps banner. So he's on a bit of a roll right now. I like him as a filmmaker. It feels strange saying it, but I mean this wholeheartedly, no hyperbole. I think Real Steel is my favorite film of his.
Great movie.
I love that movie.
Great movie.
It gets better with age as it goes on. Him coming in to do Deadpool 3, I thought Free Guy had an incredible cadence to it, a great pace to it. It was energetic. It was fun. It was charming. I loved all that kind of stuff. So this sounds great. But I believe Shawn Levy is now... Ray, you'll have to look up the exact number, but I believe the 73rd director named who has an upcoming Star Wars movie. Everybody's got an upcoming Star Wars movie. Everybody does. Later this afternoon, I'm fairly certain they're going to announce that I have an upcoming Star Wars movie. I don't know what it's about, but I'm sure I'll come up with something. I'm tired of it. That's the thing. This is news I should be getting excited about. I think this is a really talented director. I think he's even a good fit for this universe. When I look at the different elements of different types of movies he's done, I think he could bring those all into Star Wars. So I should be really excited. But it's kind of the same thing now when a character dies in an MCU movie. I don't really feel it because I know they're coming back in countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it takes a little bit away because it feels like every other month there's a new person that we should be excited about directing a movie, but we don't see anything happening. We still haven't seen lick all of the Taika Waititi movie.
Not going to.
There's been about 3 or 4 others as well. They keep announcing some developments on the Kevin Feige one, like they got their writer and all that kind of stuff, but we haven't seen anything tangible on that years after they made that announcement. And so while I want to be excited for this, it's difficult to under the current regime where a lot of spaghetti gets thrown against the wall and none of it seems to stick. Anyway, Christian, you hear about this. Number one, what do you think about the name of Shawn Levy being attached to this? And then, is this actually going to happen?
As far as the name goes, I agree with you. Great fit for the galaxy far, far away. Great fit because of everything he's worked on so far. He gets it, and I think that it'll even play more so. And you see what he's done with something like Real Steel, which I also love. You see he can go a little darker and still be fun inside of Stranger Things, and he can go real fun inside of Free Guy. He's a great choice overall, absolutely. But to quote what you just said and to quote Chris Rock, I'm tired of this shit. Tired. It's the same thing. It's the same thing over and over, and it's what it shows to me. Because, and to be fair, something you said a couple of weeks ago when I was on. Let's also be clear. This is not something Lucasfilm announced. This is something that the trades broke. So they're not going out and saying, "Hey, we're announcing this director," and they're not doing that mistake of this is the movie. This is just someone going in for a meeting and saying, "Hey, I had this take," and them going, "Great, then this might happen." Same way Lindelof did, same way Taika did, and that's the problem. The problem is Kathleen Kennedy still is doing the same old 1989, 2004 way of producing of inside of all these IPs that now with Marvel and everything, it's like instead of saying, all right, we have this plan, these are the movies that we want to do, and Shawn, you'd be a great guy to come in here to do this. What's the take that you want to continue? It's what's your take? Oh, you want to do this with this kind of Star Wars movie? Great. Oh, you want to do this one? You're real hot right now. You want to do that one? And nothing ever happens because it's just kind of like a mess. So I just wish they would actually have like a treatment, a plan, ideas, structure things out, and have a through line of where they want to go, and then bring in directors to do that.
And we were talking behind the scenes, like maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe.
No chance.
Could be. Fingers crossed. Maybe. I don't know. Rob, you hear about this again? What do you think about the name attached to the story, and do you think this one might actually come to pass?
Well, first of all, the name's great. Like you said, Shawn Levy's great. There was an old show when I was a kid called The Great Space Coaster. And there was a character on it named, they would talk about the news, and they called it GNews. No, GNews is good news.
I remember that. Yeah,
this is GNews. This is not real news. It's GNews. And I think that here you have Disney. They've made 5 live-action Star Wars movies. 4 of them grossed $1 billion plus. One grossed $2 billion. And they treat their cinematic franchise, that's a pretty good track record. Why have they not made a movie since 2019? Why are they not making a Star Wars movie every year? And I know they want to focus on TV or not, but what are you're going to leave $1 billion franchise fallow? Who does that? What studio would do that? And we've gotten how many announcements? How many? Why isn't Benny
Or
off?
at least reports. Yeah.
Or reports. I mean, Taika Waititi, Kevin Feige's doing a Star Wars movie. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. And also, it's not protecting their brand. In a way, inside the industry, Star Wars is kind of a joke. It's as we're movie-wise, we're making fun of it right now. And I think that there's a good. If I was a Disney shareholder, I'd ask myself, okay, you're very hit and miss with your Star Wars franchise on TV, Book of Boba Fett or Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi or Mandalorian. What are you going to do? Why aren't they treating their cinematic franchise as a crown jewel of one of the great things that Disney has? And I don't understand it.
See, I've always been able to understand that, and I can respect leadership that goes, okay, we just took one on the chin. Let's take a step back, catch our breath for a minute. Like, I understand that, especially after what happened with Solo. And then, of course, the confusing, unexplainable thing that whatever it was with the Rise of Skywalker. So I don't mind them going, okay, wait a minute. So we had an approach. We took it on the chin. We've had some good success with it, but we also had some big failures. Let's take a step back and catch our breath. I get that. I get that, and I respect that. But 3 years later, we're still sitting here with nothing tangibly in development.
And he keeps doing the same thing, John. Like when it comes to Taika Waititi, he had a hit movie, right? He had a couple of hit movies, a big, huge director, and then not everyone loves Thor: Love and Thunder. So, well, wait a minute, let's back up because that movie's not coming out next. And they do that with whatever Josh Trank we were just talking about. Yeah. He had a hit movie, and then that goes away. It's like there's and it's the same thing with the trilogy. Yes, they made $1 billion, but there was everybody can agree now there was no plan at all. It was
zero plan.
Okay, you're going to direct that one, do whatever you want. You're going to do that one, do whatever you want, and then you're coming back, fine, throw that other guy out of there. And it's like that doesn't work. There's no plan because it's like it's old school filmmaking, producing that is not working for Star Wars. It can work for other movies, but it clearly worked for Top Gun and other things too. It's not working for Star Wars. The plan needs to change, and it's not.
Let me ask you this question. Let me play, as opposed to devil's advocate, let me play angel's advocate for a second. Is it possible, I'm not saying I believe this, is it possible that this delay and all this stuff, is it possible that this is a sign and indicative that they are actually behind the scenes trying to put together a solid longer term plan before doing anything tangibly?
I think yes. I don't think it. I think you should potentially believe that. I think now whether or not they're going to do that and do it right is a different question. But the idea of like, hey, let's that's why. Make no mistakes. The reason to answer your question why they haven't released it because they're terrified. They're terrified by putting it because the Rise of Skywalker, as you said, even though it made a lot of money, it is universally just destroyed. And we know what Last Jedi did to the fandom, right? So those movies in general, if you put another movie out and you lead with a movie that does not go well, that big diamond is going to be a turd. And they're gonna see it. They need it to come out. They need to come out swinging, and they're just worried, and it keeps prolonging because they. Wouldn't you rather prolong it and put out something great? Now the question is, if you wait for too long, you put out, another shitbox, then then what's what was the wait for?
I'll tell you what. Right now, a lot of people should be taking a very hard look at. I just had Gilroy.
Yeah, yeah.
People should be taking a very hard look at Tony Gilroy right now with what he's doing with Andor, and I cannot wait for again tonight's episode. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, this should be, if you're a Star Wars fan, a day of kind of celebrating, saying, hey, it's not the number one name in the world, but I think Shawn Levy could do actually a pretty good job. By the way, I forgot to mention this. I misread the headline. When I saw this headline this morning, I initially misread it, and I thought it said Dan Levy.
Oh, hilarious.
And I remember sitting there thinking for a good 5 minutes about, I don't know how I feel about this because I love Dan Levy.
What an interesting show that would be.
Hilarious. But I don't know if he's a fit for Star Wars. I don't know. But then I realized, oh no, wait a minute, it's Shawn Levy, so we're good. Anyway, so guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you excited for it, or are you more like me, where it's like kind of hard to get excited when I just don't believe it's actually going to happen? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to take a second here and thank one of the sponsors of our show, also the people responsible for me getting something that resembles vegetables in my system, our friends at Athletic Greens. Hey guys, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Athletic Greens. Now, I started taking Athletic Greens because I don't eat enough vegetables, and I was looking for a way to make up for that deficit in my diet of those vitamins and minerals that I really needed in my system, and thank goodness I found Athletic Greens, and I literally take it every morning. You see, with one scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, all the things. And my wife got onto it, and now she absolutely loves it. You know, tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb, like Athletic Greens. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just one scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Campea. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Campea to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And thank you to our friends at Athletic Greens for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, Kaylee, what are we doing next?
It's time for our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you have a question and want to let your voice be heard on the show, go ahead and call the number on the screen, 951-268-4259. And our first question today comes to us from Phil Lynch, and he's asking if John Williams could potentially score the new Superman movie.
Hey, it's Phil Lynch, a.k.a. Schnipp calling. Quick question. If Spielberg is directing this new Superman, does John Williams return to reunite with his friend and return to the Superman character? I mean, come on. The greatest director of all time with the greatest composer of all time, taking on the greatest superhero of all time. I mean, the thought alone is enough to bring tears to your eyes. In fact, it's already brought tears to my eyes. So what do you think? Let me know.
All right, Phil, thanks a lot for calling that in. And listen, I got to say this. The notion of this, like you said, is enough to bring tears to your eyes, right? I remember it was a few years ago. We go to this John Williams concert every year. And a few years ago, they brought out Steven Spielberg on stage, which I just freaked out because you guys know he's my favorite filmmaker. So they bring out Steven Spielberg and he goes, you know, we're going to do a little experiment here so you can actually understand why John Williams is so important to movies. He goes, I'm going to play the first 7 minutes of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade without John Williams' music. And then they play it. He goes, wasn't that awful? He goes, wasn't that boring and dull and have no life to it? He goes, now let's play it with the magic of John Williams. And they played the 7 minutes again with John Williams playing the thing. He goes, and Steven Spielberg comes back and he goes, that is what John Williams is to movies. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing, this idea of Henry Cavill's Superman and, you know, Steven Spielberg directing it, which of course probably may not ever happen. It could totally be just wild speculation. But if it did, you know, having Williams then come in to join Steven Spielberg and do Superman again, magic, absolute magic. But should they do that? No, they shouldn't. They really shouldn't. And I will tell you why. I say this as a huge John Williams fan. This isn't John Williams' Superman. Like, I don't have any problem at all with you using like overtures of the old Superman score to instill that sense of awe and that sense of nostalgia. And absolutely, the regalness, if you will, of the character of Kal-El. I'm all for that. But this Superman's already been scored, and that's been by Hans Zimmer. And he has his theme already. That bomb. Like I get chills whenever I hear it and feel it. Again, I'm not saying it's better than John Williams' Superman score. Of course, I'm not saying that. But this is Henry Cavill's score. And I'm not saying you even have to get, you know, Hans Zimmer back to score, although that would be great, whether it's Spielberg directing or anybody else. But as much as I idolize, revere, worship John Williams and everything, this isn't Christopher Reeve. This is Henry Cavill. And I think this guy's already got his main score. Now, then you can talk about the rest of the movie and everything, but it then might be better to get somebody else whose sound is more akin to that of Hans Zimmer or Hans Zimmer himself, since you've already got his main theme. Anyway, that's just my take on it. it feels weird. I don't think I've ever heard myself say the words, no, John Williams should not score this. I don't think I've ever said that in my life, but in this case, I will. Rob, here, it's an interesting theoretical question, but in theory, in this wild fan speculation theory of Steven Spielberg directs, but if it did, should John Williams come back and score Superman again?
Well, I think, yes, if he could come back and score Superman again, he's retiring. I guess the last thing the Fableman score is the last thing that he's going to write for movies. But if he did come back, I would say, yeah, bring him back, because the thing is, the Man of Steel theme, which I love, that Hans Zimmer theme, is for Man of Steel. He's not yet Superman. That's the learning to fly, becoming the Superman theme. And I could see Williams adapting that theme for the beginning of the movie. And it's kind of like what happened in Casino Royale, where there was no Bond, that they give you the full-on gun barrel at the end of the movie where he walks. And maybe they lead up to the Superman movie theme, the original Superman, the movie, John Williams 78 theme. And that's how the movie ends. You bring us into that, which I could see happening. But it's not the theme so much, it's the rest of the score. It's what John Williams would bring to the rest of the movie, to the action sequences, to the moments of quiet in the film. I just think he's a great composer.
Well, he's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, and to maybe not necessarily, because like you said, it's incongruous to hear that Superman theme, his Superman theme with Henry Cavill. I'd be like that. It's just weird because it's not his theme, like you said. And that theme has to be earned, I think. And,
just by a quick note, don't forget that John Williams is also scoring the new Indiana Jones film.
Oh, yeah. But
at the last John Williams concert, he actually played us.
Yeah, but he already did that,
yes.
Even though it's coming out later. But yeah.
And Christian, it's an interesting theoretical question, but if in theory this new Superman movie does get going at some point, which we're expecting, regardless of who's directing, should a John Williams, get off the bench and come in and score it?
Yeah, I'm on the other side on this one. I think that the theme actually even can surpass the actors, and Christopher Reeve is my favorite Superman all time. I love Henry Cavill, and I'm glad that he's back. But Christopher Reeve and that theme, and without those movies, and what Christopher Reeve brought to the performance, that theme, he elevated it with his gravitas and everything they just put out there. But it was John Williams in the way that he scored that. I understand what you're saying, that he scored those Donner movies, so those were the movies that he scored. But I think there's something about it. They even played it in Super Pets at one point in the very beginning. DC, the League of Super Pets, whatever. In the very beginning, they just a bit of, and not the main theme, just the score of Krypton, and it just played. It just felt right to me. It didn't feel, and there was
the Black Adam post credit scene.
That's what I'm saying. So like but the Black Adam post credit scene had the actual theme itself.
Yes,
it was the other stuff with it, and even John Ottman used it.
They used it a lot.
I used it a lot, as you know, and it works. It plays, and it doesn't feel out of place. It feels like it belongs, and I think it'll belong. And I actually am also on the side, like, I don't know if you remember this. I showed you this back in the old days, where there was a mixture that someone had done with Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, we were talking about it on the show the other day.
And Williams, and they put it together, and it worked really well. They own both themes. It's the same Superman from Man of Steel. They've already used it in Black Adam. Do it again. And if John Williams, if anybody can find a way to do it and make it sound magical, it's John Williams. If he comes back. Now, I agree. He's probably going to be retired and probably, is he 92? Something like that.
95?
Whatever he might be. So the chances of him actually doing it, but if it was Spielberg and an idea of Spielberg and Williams doing a Superman movie, yes, you'd be like, oh, I don't know, but you'd be excited about it.
Well, of course.
Right,
there are
right.
several things in the world of movies where it's like, I wouldn't do that, but if they announced it, yeah, of course I'd be kind of excited about it.
I also bet that that's the kind of thing John Williams would probably call Steve and go, I said I was retired, but are you really doing a Superman movie?
He's done that about 4 or 5 times.
Because what really blows, if you look at, he only got to do one Superman score. They adapted his scores for Superman 2, 3, and 4, and for Superman Returns. But if you listen to the rest of that score, I think there is an argument to be made that the score for Superman the movie is the best John Williams score he ever wrote.
Good.
I mean, take the Star Wars out of it, the Smallville theme, the March of the Villains theme, the theme when he's what's going on with saving the world. That score as a film score is one of the greatest scores ever written.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, guys, question is for you. What's your opinion on this? If they get this new Superman movie up and running, and whether or not Steven Spielberg does it, do you think a John Williams could come back or should come back to score the new one. Maybe you think more so if it is Spielberg, less so if it's not. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, let's get into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here on the show? Well, that's where we need you guys, because you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Kaylee, what is our first main topic today?
John, our first main topic comes to us from Michael M. Hey crew, so I was scrolling Twitter when I saw an announcement from Netflix. They are apparently making a feature film of Gears of War, followed by an animated series for adults after it premieres. What are your thoughts on this project? Hopefully we are starting a golden age of gaming adaptations. Bring on the filthy.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about that because not only is this game getting me a lot of excitement revolving around Last of Us coming out. Of course, they've already announced they're going to be adapting the God of War, all that. I mean, so we could be entering the era that I and a lot of other people thought we were going to be entering when we had Assassin's Creed and World of Warcraft coming out. Like, that was when a lot of us thought, now this is going to usher in the golden age of video game movies. Yeah, that didn't quite work out, but maybe now we're on the precipice of it. Maybe yes, maybe no. A Gears of War title is interesting that they're doing this. It can't be cheap, right? I mean, this is a sci-fi. This isn't like, if you're looking at something instead of like Metal Gear Solid or something like that, you can do that in a more practical kind of way. It becomes a little bit easier to make, probably less expensive to make. Something like Gears of War with its sci-fi elements and all that kind of stuff, that's an expensive feature film to make. But this is not the first time we've heard that we're going to do a movie and launch a series with it. Because weren't they going to do that with, what's the Stephen King one?
Dark Tower.
Right?
Yes, they were going to do that. They were going to do the movie.
Ron Howard had
Ron Howard. Yeah.
And they were going to do all this kind of stuff. That didn't come to fruition. It's happened a couple of other times. Now, the other one that they said they were doing it for that it looks like it is going to happen is Dune. But that's not an animated series going along with it. But we've seen it before where these studios would say, we're going to do this whole interconnected live action, big screen, small screen, animated, whatever thing. And sometimes, well, maybe once it's come to pass, and quite often it hasn't. So I don't know about that, but it's at least intriguing. And I like seeing that Netflix is constantly trying to do something a little bit different. And listen, I wouldn't have pegged them for doing this, but I'm curious to see how this one turns out. Anyway, Christian, you hear about this. What do you think about Netflix trying to take on a live action feature film of Gears of War and while doing an adult slanted animated series of it?
I think the difference between, like, say, Dark Tower, if they're going to do, a movie, is that that they know what they need to hit inside of their numbers on their streaming, so they're probably they're going to do it all because they know that's what they're going to have to produce. As opposed to Dark Tower, it's like, well, hopefully this hits the amount of box office that we need it to make, and if it's tracking well enough, we'll put it into gear. And there's too much relying on the box office in general, and there was no, like, Netflix. The game has changed for streaming, right?
Yeah.
And I think that although the golden, not necessarily golden age, but a better age of video games has also started because of streaming, and because I still think the way to do, and I know that people follow me, they're like, oh, you say this about everything, but when it comes to TV and streaming, I think that games should really be series because it's just so involved that you have to cut out too much. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of these movies have not worked, because they always change, like, the core of the game.
Right.
And they change what made it so special. Oh, they won't care. We'll change it as long as they have a few of the characters. I know we did care. We care about the stories because the stories are so intricate inside of the games. And that's why if they ever did Knights of the Old Republic, I want it to be a series, right? If they ever, Gears of War would be interesting as a movie, but I would like to see that as a full-on series. I really would. But I think this is a good move by Netflix. It's a big property, and they don't have to rely just on box office to make it ahead.
What's funny, too, is I think the greatest thing, any video game adaptation of any kind ever, is probably Arcane, in my opinion.
I was just going to say, yeah, that's one of the points I was going to make. Yeah.
I love, it's my favorite, just video, it's my favorite animated series ever. I think it's that good. But what's funny about that is it takes nothing from the game. Like, it's all completely original story that they just wrote from, and they kind of base it on those characters. So there could be different ways to skin a cat here. But anyway, Rob, You hear about this. Do you think Gears of War is the type of property that Netflix can succeed with something like this?
Well, yeah, because you brought up Arcane, Dota that I worked on, Cyberpunk, the what is it, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, whatever it's called. Those are all game adaptations that they've turned into, and those are broad adaptations because League of Legends and Dota, they're melee games, so there's not a lot of extended story there, and they've done a really good job. Netflix has done a really good job with those properties. And I can see them doing a great job with the adult animation because it's worked for them. I'd love to see a Gears of War movie just because I think it'd be cool. And if Netflix is going to do it, it looks like they have a plan. I think more power to them. Let's see it happen.
Shawn Levy's going to direct it.
Right after his 3 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing a lot with Netflix. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you like the idea of a Gears of War movie going to Netflix with with an animated series, an adult-themed animated series? Are these just the best laid plans of mice and men that won't come to anything, or do you think this one can actually have a chance? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into main topic number 2, shall we? Kaylee, what is our second main topic today?
John, our second main topic comes to us from Wester G. Hey, John, The Hollywood Reporter just put out a story on Sylvester Stallone. There's a lot of really good stuff in there. But the thing that caught my attention was the fact that he's not supporting Creed 3 at all, even going so far as to say he disagrees with the movie's approach. Do you think Stallone's words could keep some of those faithful Rocky fans away from Creed 3? John, what do you think? Do you think Sylvester Stallone's influence will have impact on his major fans?
Yes. Yeah, I actually do. Now, the bigger question then becomes not whether this will have some influence over some people who are diehard Stallone fans and particularly Rocky fans. The question becomes, are there enough of those people to significantly impact Creed 3? And I don't know that that's the case. Listen, Stallone is one of the most iconic figures in Hollywood and always will be. His place is secure in the annals of Hollywood history forever. It is what it is. He's been real grumpy lately, talking about a lot of stuff and all this kind of thing. And this isn't the first time that he's talked about this. Now, let's read what's going on here first, okay? So this comes to us from the folks over at CBR who write the following. They said this. Do we got the infographic for that one?
Yes.
There we go. Stallone expressed his discomfort with the direction of Creed 3 and his differing philosophies with producer Irwin Winkler, who he's talked a lot about recently, and director/star Michael B. Jordan. That's a regretful situation because I know what it could have been. It was taken in a direction that is quite different than I would have taken it, Stallone said. It's a different philosophy. Irwin Winkler and Michael B. Jordan's, I wish them well, but I'm much more of a sentimentalist. I like my heroes getting beat up, but I just don't want them to go to those dark spaces. I just feel people have enough darkness. And that comes to us from CBR. Now, if you're thinking, well, I mean, yeah, that's clearly casting a little bit of shade at Creed 3, but I mean, we've seen worse. That's not all that bad. The problem is, this is just the latest thing. Because if you go back and look at something that his brother, Frank Stallone, put out, if we've got that, let's bring that up right now. Frank Stallone, a while ago, put this out. He said, this might be, talking about Creed 3, this might be the biggest bomb in the last decade. This film is a farce directed by this guy who thinks who he is. My brother created Rocky. I was there. I know. Now this guy puts this $90 million folly out, starring and directing? Really? Sorry, any film on Rocky without Sly is a joke. The only good Creed was the first one where my brother unceremoniously got ripped off for his well-deserved Oscar. He did get nominated for an Oscar for that. I'm so happy my brother was not involved in this bombast. Save your money and see Top Gun. Then he also wrote a little bit later on, listen, folks, they didn't want him in 3 because of Jordan's ego. Because Jordan's ego surpasses his less than mediocre talent.
You know, we didn't mention, though, Sylvester. Oh, okay.
I was about to say, well, okay, yeah, but John, that's Stallone's brother. But then Stallone shared it and liked it publicly for everybody to see, right? Now,
Retweet.
As far as calling Michael B. Jordan a mediocre at best talent, are you a fucking idiot?
It's Frank Stallone.
I know. Like, Are you an idiot? Come on, just get over yourself on that. But that doesn't take away any potential gripe or grievances that Frank or Stallone or Sly, his brother, the two Stallone brothers, have about this project. Apparently, he was kind of unceremoniously dumped from the film. They did have completely different philosophies in which way they want to go. And Stallone has been very vocal about being upset at that. And I don't know if they called some kind of truce, because I'll tell you what, if you're in the Creed 3 camp right now, you're kind of screwed. There's really nothing you can do. Like, you can't come out, even if this was the case, and I'm not saying it is, I'm making up a hypothetical situation here, okay? Even if Sylvester Stallone was a nightmare behind the scenes and nobody wanted to work with him and all that kind of stuff, you still can't say shit because it's Sylvester Stallone. He is Rocky. This is his franchise, at least from a perception point of view, and he's beloved. So you can't say anything. And if he wasn't a nightmare behind the scenes, then you just got to sit there and kind of take the punches that he's thrown at you. So will this have an impact on the Rocky Stallone faithful? Yes. But are there enough of those Rocky Stallone faithfuls that I think is going to have a major impact on Creed? Guys, let's not forget, Creed is not, despite our perception, is not like it's a box office smash hit. They've made okay amounts of money. I mean, neither of them have flirted with like $500 million or anything like that. It's been modest success. But I don't know. You hear Stallone coming out kind of against us. Is this going to have any impact, Rob?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm very disappointed as a lifelong Sylvester Stallone fan, all the way back to Machine Gun Joe Viterbo and Paul Bartel's Death Race 2000. I have loved Sylvester Stallone. And I'm like, look, man, Ryan Coogler came to him after bonding with his father over the Rocky movies with the idea for Creed. Stallone agreed to do it. He got an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. This is a whole new facet of the Rocky franchise. It's all good for everybody involved. Now, I understand that he might have a problem with Irwin Winkler, but now to have Michael B. Jordan, this is his directorial debut. Stallone, of all people, knows what it's like to be put in a situation where you leverage your talent. How did he get to be in Rocky in the first place as the star? And I would think that Stallone would be the first person to want to foster new talent. And I think that the Creed series completely gave the Rocky franchise a new life.
It really did.
And he's making tons of money for that. He's a producer. He's a producer on this movie.
Is he?
And yeah.
Contractually.
But either way, his name as a producer is on this movie, and to not support your team is, I mean, I understand that he's talking about how much Rocky's in my blood. Look, dude, you sold this back in 1975. And it's like, it ain't show friends, it's show business. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. He's made a lot of money over the years. It's disappointing to see him at 76 years old do this. And it bothers me because I love Stallone.
Just as a quick point of fact, so we're talking about the box office of the Creed films.
Yeah.
They haven't done great. The first Creed made $173 million. That's not opening weekend. That's not domestic.
On what budget?
That's global.
Worldwide. Right. Then the second Creed film made $214 million. Now, again, just pointing out the fact that it's not like these are global phenomenon movies.
And the budgets weren't massive for it.
Well, no, they weren't massive for it. But again, just pointing out the fact that it's not like these were huge hits that
Right.
everybody went out to go see. But anyway, Christian, you see this unraveling. What's your takeaway from it?
I love you, Rob, but that was a dong take. I think for me, Sylvester Stallone got screwed bad because everybody was beating the drum when Dave Chappelle said he got screwed when he had the Comedy Central deal because he got screwed. He was a younger guy, and they screwed him out of the money, and then and social media made sure that he was able to get his deal back. Stallone was a very young guy, and he got screwed even when it was even worse back then in the 70s when they could just take advantage of people left and right, and it happened all of the time. And Stallone got screwed. Winkler knew exactly what he was doing. He got screwed. Now, do I think that he should support Michael B. Jordan in that take? I do agree with you. I think that, as far as that particular aspect goes, but I don't know what happened behind the scenes all the way through. We don't know because there's some, if you listen to what Frank Stallone and what apparently Sylvester Stallone said by liking it, he was pretty much kind of pushed out because when Michael B. Jordan was originally asked, is Sly coming back? He's like, we want this to be Adonis's tale and go off on his own. Stallone should always, because this is the guy that he created, the world that he created, should have always been asked if he wanted to be in. Now, again, if you believe all reports, there's another report that said he was asked to come back. And depending on what the deal was, maybe this is what he's saying inside out this statement that he didn't like the direction. They go, well, this is the direction we're going to go in. We want you to come back, but if you don't want to be on board with this story, then we understand if you want to leave. Again, we don't know all the way. I also agree with you, John, that I think something happened where his lawyers or somebody's like, you got to stop, because he was going and he was posting pictures of Erwin Winkler with snake tongues and going after his kid and doing that. He's going to get himself legally in trouble pretty soon. And they probably said, hey, cut it out. Plus the fact you're also, and Rob's not alone in his thinking. I've seen a lot of people feeling like, hey, Stallone made this deal. This is the case,
because Rocky never get made without that deal.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, it is what it is. Nobody stole anything from Stallone.
Well,
No, and remember,
but he got screwed.
They allowed him to be part of his deal was he gets to star in the movie. I mean, and that was the deal that he made, because he was like, okay, if you guys are going to finance it, I get to star.
I know, but when you're making movies though, down the line, you start and they're talking about Drago series, and now that was also in this report that him and Dolph Lundgren made up and all that, but not even consult him and say, hey, we want to make this. You know the character, you created the character. To not even consult him because you own it and he doesn't. That's
yeah, but
shitty.
I listen. If you look at the history of Stallone, Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Rocky Balboa, Creed 1, 2, and 3, Rambo, Stopper, My Mom Will Shoot.
Mom will shoot.
Over the top arm wrestling. I mean, Stallone's entire career, the man has made hundreds of millions of dollars because of Rocky.
Sure.
And that it won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Because of that movie, because of the deal that Sylvester Stallone made, he's had a 50-year career.
I'm not
made him hundreds
I know,
of
I'm not disputing that, but it doesn't take away that morally they knew what they were doing. They were taking advantage of a younger guy. You're right. It's business.
But were they? Because
yes,
at the end
were.
of the day,
Come on.
they're the ones who put up the money and risk the money.
Yeah.
They're the ones who risk their own, like taking out stories of taking out mortgages on houses. They're the ones who risked everything.
And again, back then, but it's a down the line after you see what it's continuously doing with the star. That he's asking. All I'm asking is, now that it's been established, and now that you guys made the money that you did, cut me in on the deal of now after years later. But what do I create?
It's not like he had some gotten rich off of it, right?
Listen, to answer your other question, I am a Stallone faithful. I am a Rocky faithful. I'm still going to see Creed 3.
Yes, of course.
The movie looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see it.
Jonathan Majors is a great addition.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons. I think I'm going to have a sour taste in my mouth.
Why?
Watching it, because I just told you, right? I just told you.
Ray doesn't listen.
Go see the next Expendables.
That's
Feel
right.
better about yourself.
Because I'm still going to see it, Ray, and I might like it. But this hate for Stallone, all of you.
They need to let this Creed franchise be what it's going to be. You know what I mean? And even if it's a bad movie, it doesn't ruin the Rocky name, because it's a different character, right?
Yeah.
So
stop, but Frank Stallone.
It's kind of like the dad. He just needs to let the kid go to college and find himself. You know, like I mean, and stop criticizing him even if it's successful. But like if he's not a part of it. You know?
we could probably talk about this for another hour, but we do have other topics we need to get to, so we need to move on. So, question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Stallone is still talking about, the Rocky situation. Creed now saying he disagrees with the whole direction Creed 3 is going in, but a little softer than his tone has been. Snake pictures, like you mentioned.
Right.
What do you guys take out of this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to take a second here and thank another sponsor of today's show, our friends at the Amazon Pharmacy. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this episode, Amazon Pharmacy. Now, if you're anything like me, you dread going to the pharmacy. You never know what the hours are. You never know what you're going to pay. You're worried about being stuck in a huge line. And that's why you're going to love Amazon Pharmacy. Amazon Pharmacy delivers a better pharmacy experience that delivers directly to your door and works with most insurance plans. Amazon Pharmacy helps you save time, save money, and stay healthy. There's transparent pricing, so you'll know exactly what you'll pay before you pay it. Prime members can also save up to 80% on their prescriptions. And like I mentioned earlier, Amazon Pharmacy works with most insurance plans. And this is one of the best parts. If you ever have any questions or problems, real pharmacists are always available at Amazon Pharmacy, no matter what time of day or night. Your medication gets delivered to your door, so there's no more rushing out to the store hoping to get there before they close. Amazon Pharmacy is a pharmacy that works for your life with meds delivered to your door. It doesn't get any better than that. Switch to Amazon Pharmacy and save time, save money, and stay healthy. Learn more at amazon.com/Campea. That's amazon.com/Campea. Average savings based on usage and Inside RX data as compared to cash prices. Average savings for all generics are 78%, 37% for select brand medications.
And
restrictions
thank you.
apply.
Thank you to our friends at Amazon Pharmacies for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Sorry, something happened while we were off air there. For just to remind you guys, when you guys sponsor or support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So do us a favor, go down in the description of the video, right near the top. You're going to see links to all of our sponsors and their promo codes. And thank you again to Amazon Pharmacy. Okay, guys. With that down, we're going to get now into our new feature here on Tuesdays. Man, my brain's all over the place today. A new feature here on Tuesdays that we call our Top 5 Tuesdays, where every Tuesday we're going to take one theme, genre, director, actor, and we're going to run down our top 5 of that. And we're going to start off this thing with, well, one of the best, Steven Spielberg. We were just talking about him yesterday with the meetings he had at WB. What's it about? Nobody really knows what it was about, but we thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about the GOAT, the greatest filmmaker of all time, Steven Spielberg. And I'll tell you what, if you think coming up with a top 5 list of any kind is easy, maybe some of them are. Try putting together a top 5 list of Steven Spielberg films.
Tough.
It ain't easy, because you're talking about, listen to this. Listen to these movies. Indiana Jones where did it go? I just lost it. Okay, I'll get back to it in a second. War of the Worlds, Amistad, Munich, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, there it is. The Color Purple, the Sugarland Express, all these movies I just mentioned. None of them even in his top 15 when it comes to its overall critic rating. None of them even in his top 15, except Duel there is at number 15. If you go further down the list, there's some other, War of the Worlds, which a lot of people like. It's got a 75% critic rating, is number 22 on the list. AI, artificial intelligence, Empire of the Sun, which a lot of people really love. I really was completely charmed by the BFG. It's got a 74%. War Horse was an Academy Award nominee, 75%. That's his 26th ranked on Rotten Tomatoes meter of that. So when you're talking about the films of Steven Spielberg and trying to come up with a top 5, it's a difficult task, and made more difficult by the fact that you're probably going to change your mind every year about what that top 5 list entails. I'll tell you right now, 5 minutes before the show even started, Rob was agonizing over what his top 5 was actually.
I threw out my list.
He threw out his list and started again. So I'm going to start things off here with my top 5. All right, here we go. My number one is The Last Crusade.
Your number 1 Spielberg movie?
My number 1 Spielberg movie is
You're
The
not
Last
counting
Crusade.
back from 5?
No, I should have been, but I already have the number 1 there, so I'm doing that. Yeah. My number 1 is The Last Crusade. It's my favorite of the Indiana Jones films. I think it's, to me, my favorite pure adventure film ever. I've never watched a movie, all the Indiana Jones films do, but I've never had that pure sense of adventure like I did with Indiana Jones Last Crusade. That's my number 1. Number 2 is one that I often rank as my favorite Spielberg film, but putting together this list, I bumped it down to number 2 is Amistad. I love this movie, one of the most impressive casts that Steven Spielberg ever worked with in his entire career. The name of the lead in it.
Djimon Hounsou.
Djimon Hounsou, thank you.
Give us.
Djimon Hounsou. The world was introduced to Djimon Hounsou. He's still an incredibly prolific actor working today in the DCU and in the MCU, all over the place. I love Amistad, and that's probably the one film of Spielberg's that I find most people haven't seen. When I talk to people about different Spielberg films, I very rarely come across people who say they've watched Amistad. Anyway, next up, Schindler's List. Maybe this should just be in the number 1 spot. It is one of the seminal all-time Hollywood pictures. When people talk about movies that represent how great the movies are, Schindler's List is one of those films that come into play. And amazingly, like I always talk about how movies are experiential events. You tell me you can walk out of Schindler's List without being moved, the experience moving you. It's an incredibly powerful film, and Schindler's List is the number 3 on my list. At number 4, I'm going back, Jaws.
Yeah.
I watched Jaws again during the pandemic because Anne had never watched it. And we're like, yeah, we got to watch Jaws. And we sat down and watched Jaws. And it's been a while, been a beat since I had watched Jaws. And I'm like, I forgot just how freaking brilliant this movie is. The performances, the characters, it's just all narrative driven. It's absolutely what it's about the human condition and man versus nature and all these types of things. Absolutely brilliant, brilliant, brilliant film. So I've got Jaws in my number 4. In my number 5 spot, I've got E.T., which I believe is critically his number 1, right? I think it's a 99% or something like that, but whatever. E.T. is just an absolutely magical movie. It stands the test today. I mean, some of the visual effects are a little tired, yes, but as a movie itself, it still stands up today, in my opinion. So again, my number 5 is E.T. My number 4 is Jaws. My number 3 is Schindler's List. My number 2 is Amistad. And my number 1 Steven Spielberg film, at least right now, ask me again in 6 weeks, I might give you a totally different list, is The Last Crusade. So Rob, that's my top 5. Let's go over to you. And you can start from 5 and work your way down here. All right.
First of all, I have to say that I threw out Jaws, Close Encounters, Raiders, E.T. Threw them out.
Garbage.
No, I just
Rubbish.
I mean, I've been watching them my whole life, and they mean something beyond movies to me. You know, they're part of my soul, those films, and they were formative in terms of why I love movies. But now, right now, the movies that I find myself going back to the most, as far as Spielberg is concerned, as an adult, number 5, Munich. I love Munich. I think the performances are incredible. It's tense. I mean, even Daniel Craig's in Munich. The moral quandary that movie poses.
So powerful.
I mean, it's incredibly well made. And again, when Spielberg moved into his quote unquote adult period, because people forget he got a lot of criticism for making escapist entertainment. And then anyway, number 4 is Lincoln. Lincoln was a movie that, when I bought it, I didn't see it in the theater. I couldn't believe I wouldn't go see a Spielberg film in the theater. I didn't go see it. It was on my Blu-ray stack forever, and I just kept moving it down. And when I finally watched it, I was blown away by this movie. Blown away by the performance.
Didn't you end up watching it like 4 nights
I
in a
watched
row?
it all week. I kept watching it. I watch it every night. I put it on. I was just mesmerized. I thought this movie was incredible. Everything about it I loved. I just loved it. Now, my number 3 movie was the movie that when Spielberg got a lot of flack for making this film. And at the time, Color Purple. Color Purple was only the second movie in my life that I ever cried in. I love The Color Purple. I know that some people say it was a romanticized version of Alice Walker's novel. I read the novel after I saw the movie. I love that movie so much. I love the cast. Oprah Winfrey will say that movie would not have gotten made unless Spielberg directed it. At the time, if times were changed to now, somebody would probably complain and cancel the film that Spielberg wanted to direct. But at the time, he employed, if you look at all the people he employed in that movie, all of them went on to be basically superstars. Everybody from Lawrence Fishburne to Oprah Winfrey herself to Whoopi Goldberg winning multiple Oscars. Quincy Jones' score. The film is incredible. The sound design of that, the cinematography. Alan Davio shot that movie. Oh my God, incredible! I love that film. Number 2, Schindler's List, for me. I love Schindler's List. I think an argument can be made that the opening scene, not the very opening scene, but the opening scene where Liam Neeson goes in and ingratiates himself to the German command, the Nazi command, is one of the best things Spielberg has ever done in terms of different techniques he used. Liam Neeson's performance is unbelievable. The whole movie's unbelievable. And I have to tell you something. And as a Jew myself, there's a lot in that movie that's like the Ben Kingsley relationship that he has with. Yeah. It's entertainment. I mean, it's a horrible, awful story. It's a hard movie to watch, but it's brilliantly made. It's absolutely brilliantly made. But as an adult, a movie, John, that when I first saw it, it annoyed the F out of me. My number 1 as an adult, a movie that I thought was way over directed when I saw it. I thought it was too over the top. Everything from John Williams' score, everything about it when I first saw it, I'm like, God, is now my favorite as an adult. I can't get enough of this movie.
I know what it is.
Empire of the Sun. Based on J.G. Ballard's novel about his own experience in World War II. I mean, everybody from John Malkovich, I think Ben Stiller, is in Empire of the Sun, and Christian Bale's incredible score. The Williams score, Cadillac of the Sky, P-51. I can't get enough of that movie as I've gotten older. And again, a movie that's about a kid lost in Shanghai, and a nuclear bomb goes off in that movie, and I still find it to be exceptional.
All right, so just to highlight here, Rob's top 5 for Spielberg is number 5, Munich, number 4, Lincoln, number 3, The Color Purple, number 2, Schindler's List, number 1, Empire of the Sun. We each given our top 5. We only have one movie that's shared on our list, and that's Schindler's List. So let's go over to Christian now. Christian, this is not an easy task.
It's not.
Coming up with the top 5 for Spielberg. So what would be your top 5?
Tintin, 5 through 1. I actually do love that movie. I do love that movie very much, but no, it's not on there. We have a similar bottom 3, John. My 5 is, and again, it's a matter of whether or not it's not just an enjoyment and blending with how it was made and impact that it had on me. That's really where I went with this list, is the impact it had on me as watching it as a kid, watching it later on. So number 5 is Jaws. I'm not a big horror fan. This is a horror film, but it is absolutely a thriller as well. And it's just what he did and how he did it with the story making. And it was basically his coming out party, Spielberg, to say, this is what I'm going to be able to do. And you look back at it, and that it was made in 70, or it came out in 75, and the fact that it still holds up today, as you said, you watched it with Ann, and it has that impact. That's why I hit number 5 for me. And number 4 is E.T., because of the impact it had on me as a kid, remembering being online with my mom for that movie, and how it wrapped around block, and believing that this animatronic was a real alien, and the relationship. I just saw something recently with Drew Barrymore talking about how she thought it was real, and what Steven Spielberg did for her. Because she thought it was real, like anytime she would go over to talk to it, he had the people who animated it.
Oh my God, really?
Dee Wallace told that story.
Yes,
I saw that it was on Drew's show.
So Steven Spielberg made sure that anytime that little Drew Barrymore was around, he made sure that they moved her around and made it interact with her, so she thought it was real because of that. But you felt it as a kid. You felt it as what Henry Thomas did in that movie, and the music inside of it, and it's fantastic. So E.T. is at my 4. This is the other one that we all have, and that's Schindler's List at 3. Schindler's List is not an easy watch, as everyone knows. I cannot go back. It's one of the movies it's very hard for me to go back and rewatch.
I can't. Yeah.
It's very hard, but whenever I feel like I watch it every maybe 8 or 10 years, or maybe whatever it might be, it's 6 years, whatever. And when I watch it, it's the same feeling every time, and it's exactly what you said. It's beautiful. It is powerful. It is, to me, his Mona Lisa. It really is probably his best film that he's ever made, because of how much obviously it meant to him and in general. And it's just it's a masterpiece. It really is. But it's my number 3, obviously, because it's a hard watch.
Yeah,
as we know,
it is a hard watch.
Number 2, it was almost my number 1, and that's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark to me is one of the best Spielberg movies, but best movies of all time. It is a pure adventure. To me, it is what made Harrison Ford a star. And I know, wait, you're a Star Wars fan. You think Han Solo? Absolutely, Han Solo was the first one, the introduction to him. But what he did as Indiana Jones is he made you forget he was Han Solo.
Yeah.
And that was the magic trick, because no one thought he was going to do it. They thought that Tom Selleck was going to be the guy to do it. And they said, well, you can't have Han Solo play this guy. Everyone's going to think Han Solo. Nobody thought it was Han Solo. Everybody thought he was Indiana Jones. And to me, that's what it really showed how big of a star he was. But everything, there's just certain movies that just seems like they were supposed to be. And that movie, from everything, from the idea on the day on the set when he realized that shade should come in, and how he's introduced when he shows up with Marion, and I mean everything about it. I can watch that anytime that movie is on. I can watch it. If I'm in the middle of doing something important, I will stop doing that to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love it. However, I think that the movie to me that is the most impactful for me is one that you guys haven't even mentioned, and that's Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan to me was a movie that I remember going to see. It was the same year that Lethal Weapon 4 came out. And I went to go see it, and I was actually my first time ever in Los Angeles. I was staying here was at some film program, and we all went out to see something. They're like, oh, we're going to see the Saving Private Ryan. I'm like, I want to see Lethal Weapon 4, whatever, something along those lines. And sitting down in that opening scene, is just, I felt like I was on the beach. I felt like I was going through it, but it was the overall, it was everything. And Tom Hanks and the way that him and performances from Vin Diesel, Ed Burns, like the way that they all banded together, and at Giovanni Ribisi. Like I just watched it recently to see, do I still love this movie as much as I think that I do? And it was like, yes, it is. It's one of those, even though it's as powerful, not I shouldn't say as powerful, but it has the same kind of weight and in the drama that it's like a Schindler's List. It's at the blend of what Spielberg does, where he can do those big blockbuster movies like a Jurassic Park. I was like, nobody's mentioned Jurassic Park. There's just so many movies. But he can do something so deep like a World War II movie with not just that scene, but what it also meant about the band of brothers that he ultimately went to produce as well. So that's my favorite Spielberg movie.
You know, it's funny. There's something about Saving Private Ryan at the end when the siege is coming, when the Germans are coming.
Yeah.
The sound of the German tank.
The sound in that movie, man.
And the sound design is one of the great.
Yep.
It's one of the great. Again, talk about setting up a sound system. That, and I'll never forget. Like sitting in that theater, I was like, it was terrifying, waiting for those. Where are the tanks going to be?
Well, it wasn't just the tanks. You had the gramophone playing too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the sound in that movie is out of control.
Now, here's the thing. Listen to this. And I was about to mention Saving Private Ryan, so I'm glad you put it on your list, because with those lists that we just put together, and only one movie do we have on all three of our lists. That was Schindler's.
Yeah.
I think I probably could have guessed that would be the one. None of us mentioned Catch Me If You Can,
Right.
which is one of his highest rated films
Almost.
ever. None of us mentioned Close Encounters of the Third Kind. None of us mentioned West Side Story, which I think is a top 3 or 4 best directed movie
Agreed.
ever of all time.
Yeah.
None of us mentioned Jurassic Park, like you were just mentioned. None of us mentioned Minority Report. None of us mentioned things like The Post. None of us mentioned Temple of Doom. None of us mentioned
Ready Player One.
Ready Player. I love Ready Player One. I love that movie.
But see, John, I would say for me, like I said, Jaws, Close Encounters, Raiders, and E.T., I retire those movies.
Right.
Because those movies belong
They're
in
usually
heaven.
always on your list.
Yeah,
Right.
they belong in heaven.
Yeah.
They have ascended to God status, and they're not even, I can't talk about them anymore because everybody's talked about them so much.
And there's some films of his that had Best Picture nominations that we never mentioned. Films like War Horse.
Yeah.
Again, I'm glad that you brought up Tintin.
Yeah, I like that movie.
A lot of people love Tintin. I love Ready Player One. I mean, and of course, well, Ray, go ahead. Tell us which movie
don't
we're
worry about
missing
it.
on our
It's
list. No, you got to say it. Everybody's waiting for it. What's the movie we're missing?
Terminal, baby.
Oh,
That's
Yep.
Spielberg for adults.
That's
When you guys grow up, you'll understand how great that movie is.
scroll up. Kaylee, let me ask you. There's a whole. If you had to pick out of Spielberg,
He's still recovering.
If you had to pick like the Spielberg film that is for you the Spielberg film, which
Well,
one do you think it would be?
My favorite movie of all time is Saving Private Ryan.
hey.
It's my favorite movie of all time. So that's my number 1. My number 2 is Catch Me If You Can. Number 3 was Schindler's List, and then Jaws, then Jurassic Park.
Good list.
Right. Well, you put a couple on that we said weren't on the list at all. Catch Me If You Can. People love. I mean, this is part of the when you look down that list and all these films we're mentioning. They're so diverse. They're so different. They're all different kinds of stories, and that's why I think.
Hell,
Steven
I love
Spielberg
Bridge of
is great.
Spies, dude.
So did I. That was another one nominated for Best Picture, I believe.
Mark Rylance, Rob Stallone.
Rylance got nominated for an Academy
Won it.
Award for that. Oh, yeah, that's right. He won that one.
He beat
didn't he?
Stallone, yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What would your top 5 for Steven Spielberg look like? Maybe be the same as one of ours, maybe completely different. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and put your top 5 Steven Spielberg there. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 4, shall we? Do we have an email for main topic number 4? I think we do. Yeah. So Kaylee, what do we got?
Comes to us from Aiden Romanoff. He says, I saw the embargo for the full reviews of Black Panther Wakanda Forever lifts tomorrow morning. I'm very excited for this movie, and the first reactions sounded good, but also a little reserved. Do you think the reviews for Wakanda Forever will be strong or weak? Thank you, and bring on the filthy. John, what do you think of the reviews? Overall, do you think they're going to be strong or weak?
Well, this email came in last night, so when he said tomorrow.
Scared the hell out of me.
So when you said they come out tomorrow morning, that is actually today. And yes, today the review embargo left for Black Panther. Now, as you pointed out in the email, when the first reactions came out, a lot of people saw it and said, okay, but what are the full reviews going to be? Because, when you're allowed to give your first quick reaction, most people lean towards, well, let's share the positives that we liked, right? And they keep back some of their concerns, whatever, till the full reviews come out. Well, now the full reviews are out. And right now, as of this moment, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and let's bring up my screen there. Black Panther Wakanda Forever right now is sitting at a 93%, with counting 96 reviews in right now. And they all look pretty strong. Now, I am going to point out first, just so we can get it out of the way, I want to point out some of the more negative ones that have come out about it. They've got some interesting things there. Where's the one I was looking at? The one I was looking at was from Time Magazine. I thought it was an interesting one. Time Magazine wrote, ticking the boxes isn't the same as pulling magic or even insight from thin air. The sad reality is that the show must go on, and without Chadwick Boseman. It's just more of the same. Our job is to pretend that it's enough. That's probably the harshest review I've seen of that. Now, they're not the only ones. The Time Magazine wasn't the only one to give it. Slant Magazine gave it a negative review. Globe and Mail gave it a negative review. This might not all be so deflating if Wakanda Forever worked simply as an action spectacle, but very little here pops. So that's from one of their top critics, Globe and Mail. Detroit News didn't like it, blah, blah, blah. So those are the negative ones. Overall, though, when you look at the reviews, right now, 7 are negative, 89 are positive. And it is what I think a lot of us kind of interpreted from the first reactions, because a lot of the first reactions, they were all positive, but some of them were a little bit more reserved. Like some would say, this movie was great, powerful, emotional. This is not a best picture contender like the first one was, but so a lot of that. And I'm getting that from a lot of this. It's a lot of the stuff that I'm reading, even from the positive ones, at times it's sluggish. A lot of people are saying sometimes some of the big ideas they swing for don't quite work. But overall, as an emotional experience, everybody says it really delivers. They're all saying that Namor works really well. The lead characters all work really well. So, yeah, I mean, again, a 93% does not mean Rotten Tomatoes declares this is out of 0 to 100. This is no, what they're saying is 93% of the people like it, which means chances are I'm probably going to like it. But again, it seems a little bit more reserved than the last Black Panther. Out of everybody in the room, you are the one person, Christian, in this room who has seen the whole movie.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the movie, and what do you think? Does it line up with what you're hearing coming from other people right now?
So a lot of even the negative stuff that you read, I understand, right? I do think that at times it's a little sluggish here and there, but I do agree that it's an amazing emotional experience, right? There's the three biggest critiques that I had. One was that I don't think that they used Winston Duke a lot. I would have liked to have seen him used more. I thought they were going to use him more. When he's on, he's great, but he's kind of pushed to the side, and I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of him. I think that the movie was about 15, 20 minutes too long. I think I know we talked about on this show how it was about 245 or 250. It is, and I don't think it needs to be. And I think one of the things is that it suffers from an Iron Man 2 problem where they're trying to push things in the forward for other projects that are coming out. And there's a particular storyline that I won't spoil, but I don't think it was needed. I think it was just to promote something new coming up, and I don't think it was necessary. But the stuff that did work was the way that everyone inside of Wakanda has to now deal, and I think it's beautiful. Namor is great. Angela Bassett is someone that everyone should be talking about.
Yeah.
Well, she's on the front. She's in the top 5 front runners list on most of the awards trackers, saying she's definitely going to get an Academy Award nomination.
So that's the one pushback I would have. With someone saying, "Well, there's no Oscar nominations." She's one that she should be looked upon. She is powerful and great. Everybody does. And what I will say is, the character of what Shuri has to do is absolutely, and I'm not no spoilers obviously, but what she has to do is a lot, and she's great in the movie, but it is just hard because of how great Chadwick Boseman was as an actor. It's hard to take away that star power. It just is. He's noticeably missing. Obviously for the obvious reasons that you're missing him. They address it, but he had it, and everybody does a very good job as a cast. But it is missing just a little bit. But the movie is very emotional, and it returns back to the Marvel stuff that I like. The Thor, Love and Thunder, and the She-Hulk, and all that was stuff. I'm like, is this all we're going to do? It continues the theme of loss. It continues more of a drama. When there is humor, it works because the characters should be saying it. So there's a lot of positives. There's way more positives than there are negatives.
Rob, you're seeing the reviews coming out. Which ones are standing out to you? What elements are you seeing in the reviews that are standing out?
Well, I read to you earlier in the Variety review, Owen Gleiberman, who I've always been a fan of his work. I love that this says, these women, the women characters, seize the reins of what is less a typical Marvel movie, driven by light and magic effects, than an intricately doom-laden and engrossing geopolitical thriller. Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted. And I'm like, it sounds to me that the movie, I wanted the world building. I wanted to, how do you deal with loss? How do you deal with, what happens when there's a void in your life? What happens when there's a void in terms of leadership in your country, or the person that you've loved is missing, and all of those things? And how does Wakanda fit in the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe? And what does that mean when you have another country that's similar? How is that going to work geopolitically in the MCU? All the things that I wanted from this movie, it seems like are in there. I can't speak in terms of pacing issues and feeling the void of Chad Boseman. I can imagine that's there, but I kind of expected that. And like you said, I wanted a return to the MCU of yore, when I got stuff like Winter Soldier and Civil War and Iron Man, and it sounds like that's what I'm getting. And that's what I wanted. So I'm really excited. I'm more excited now than I was before.
Yeah, I think, look, there were so many ways this movie could go wrong. I mean, they were, again, we have to remind ourselves that they found themselves in such an unenviable situation with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. It's like, what do you do? How do you approach it? There were a lot of people, obviously, like me, that believe they should have recast, but understand their reasoning for not recasting. Even if I don't agree, I get where they were coming from. And I know that a director of the caliber of Ryan Coogler, who, listen, I don't think it's hyperbole to say Ryan Coogler is easily in the top 10 best directors right now, maybe in the top 5, because you're talking about films like Creed, Fruitvale Station, the first Black Panther. Like, all he doesn't got a huge resume, but everything he's done has been excellent. So we knew he was going to bring something like that. I'm seeing this movie like most of you guys in the next 48 hours. So I'm deliriously excited about it. And basically what I'm reading a lot of is it's not quite as good as the first Black Panther. Yeah. But that's okay to me. Like, I keep, this discussion always comes up. Like, whenever I would see a new comic book movie, if I happen to see it early, everybody asks, is it the best comic book movie ever? And if you say anything other than it's the best comic book movie ever, everybody goes, oh, so you were disappointed with it. Or, oh, it's a letdown. It's like, no, look, when you put out The Godfather, it doesn't have to be as good as The Godfather Part 1. Doesn't have, I mean, you don't need to be the greatest movie of all time. Just be good, have an impact, make me have an experience, make me feel something. And if this movie can do that, I'm going to be thrilled.
I think, Christian, you made a really good point. I mean, this movie could have been The Godfather, but you couldn't ever watch this movie and not think that you're missing your star.
Right.
I think no matter how good the movie is, there's no way around that. And, you know, they leaned into it. They went in head first, but you're missing, I mean, when I saw Civil War and saw Chad Boseman initially introduced as T'Challa, and watching his father speak, and then his performance, that guy's, I mean, I loved him in Get On Up already, but within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he was one of the top, in my mind, 3 pantheon of great characters, more so than even Thor.
Yeah. Well, you weren't there for this, but Christian, I think were sitting right beside me. I remember we were at the El Capitan Theater
when they introduced him.
When Kevin Feige came out and they did I think it was the Phase 3 announcements, right?
Yeah.
And they had this moment, to your point, Rob, where they brought out on stage, they had Robert Downey Jr. on stage, they had Chris Evans on stage. By the way, congratulations to Chris Evans being named the 2022 Sexiest Man Alive, an MCU lead 2 years in a row, Sexiest Man Alive. And then they brought out Chadwick Boseman. You had those 3 on stage. And you're right. For that brief window, it felt like those 3 were the...
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought that T'Challa would then have been the focus, Chad Boseman, because of not just because he was a great actor, but the gravitas. I mean, he emanated soulfulness that not every actor has. And it was in every frame that he was in Civil War, and it certainly was front and center all the way through Black Panther. And the guy was just a magnetic movie star.
Well, he went back to what I was talking about with Harrison Ford, right? He played James Brown, Jackie Robinson, and T'Challa. And you never looked and said, "Oh, that's Chadwick Boseman." You believed all three were different characters. That's what he was so good. And that's
And
what
then
I'm
when you
saying.
watch Ma Rainey's, you didn't think that's T'Challa.
You didn't think of it. No.
That's how good he was.
That's my point in this. That it's just impossible to not. But I think that they do a very good job in saying this is how we're going to address that, and this is how we're all going to basically inside of the movie itself, the characters and the actors lean upon each other to make each other stronger and to all work together to bring this story out. So I think they do a very good job of that, and that's as you were saying, that's Ryan Coogler.
Well, guys, the full reviews are now out. Right now, it's sitting at about 93%, which is an excellent rating. The common consensus seems to be it's not quite as good as the first Black Panther, but excellent nonetheless. Of course, some people have some bigger criticisms about it. Maybe it's a little too slow in some places. Maybe some of the concepts don't work. But overall, it seems like the reaction to this film is really positive. The question is for you. What's standing out to you with all the reviews that are coming out? And where's your anticipation level right now for Black Panther Wakanda Forever that comes out in just about 48 hours from now? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys, we are now going to open up the super chats. Again, they're only going to be open for a few minutes here. So if you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question that you'd like us to address, now's your time to do it. Throw it down in there quickly. And we'll get to that in just a second. But before we do, we want to take a minute and thank one of the major sponsors of our show, my phone service company, Ryan Reynolds, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. And now for the plot twist. I'm just kidding. There isn't one. Mint Mobile just has premium wireless from $15 a month. There's no trapping you into a 2-year contract or opening the bill to find all these crazy fees. There's no luring you in with free subscriptions to streaming services that you'll forget to cancel and be charged full price for. With my old wireless provider, every month when I opened the bill, it was like playing roulette. I never knew how big the bill was going to be, and it always seemed to get bigger. With Mint Mobile, it's totally different. I know exactly how little I'm paying every month, and there's never any surprises. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or a family. And at Mint Mobile, families start at just 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And guys, you get to use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. So transferring over couldn't be easier. So to get premium wireless from just $15 a month and no unexpected plot twists, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. You'll make your wallet very happy at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to the folks at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Guys, dead serious, I am honestly paying less than a third of what I was paying before, and the service is incredible. If you have not tried out Mint Mobile, you're just stealing from yourself. Go down, check out the link, use the promo code, and check out Mint Mobile. All right, with that down, guys, let's now move over to your super chats that you guys have been firing in. So I think we're closing it up now. So Kaylee, what were people managed to get in there?
All right. Bacon Jedi, thanks for the $2. A-Chaps, thank you so much. Al Renshaw, thank you. Terry
wow, a lot of people just sent in super chats to be supportive. Thank you, Terry.
More money. Thank you, guys. Al Renshaw, he also says Stallone wasn't cheated out of anything. He got what he negotiated. Hashtag I stand with John and Rob.
Who asked you, Al? Who asked you?
But, I mean, to be fair, I mean, when you think of Rocky, you don't think of Erwin, whatever the guy's name is. You don't think, you think of Stallone, right? Now, I also get it. Like, if I rent you my house, you don't get to come to me in 15 years, and it's my house, I pay for the upkeep of it, I do all that kind of stuff, and you pay rent, but you don't get to come to me in 10 years and say, I think you should give me the house now. It's like, no,
right. But I'm just saying, though, I just think it's a bit hypocritical for a lot of people, because when Chappelle did it, people were all on board with Chappelle. There were some people that were saying, oh, no, he made the deal that he made. What's the difference? They both got screwed.
Well, I mean, but Chappelle then walked because he wasn't getting what he felt he deserved, right? Like, he just walked away from it, which I thought
but
was
they were still capitalized often. And look, and I'm also making it very clear. I think Chappelle should have gotten exactly back what it was his show. He came up with it, and they screwed him too, and he got it back. So that's all I was saying.
Well, wait a second. You know,
you were just in the bathroom.
Wait, let's not get sidetracked. We can't spend too much time on the one question.
Just my own quick thing is that he didn't get screwed because Stallone continued to work with Erwin Winkler for decades with the character.
I don't believe you.
But
Love it.
I never.
This is why no one will ever
Why'd
get
you
the
guys
terminal.
go silent? I never add anything to the show.
No, they'll-
like I was going
Ray-
to say something groundbreaking.
I'm glad you're back.
Ray, they'll
something
never get the
groundbreaking.
terminal. They're not adults.
They're not adults. Never mind.
I don't
All
believe
right,
you.
what's next?
Next, SOMD Picker, thanks so much. Kugler says Namor strong as Hulk near water.
Yeah, again, one of my other gripes with the MCU lately is that they are overpowering everybody. No, don't get me wrong. I get it. In the comics, Namor is super powerful, yes, but now again, it's just another thing of the MCU neutering the Hulk. The Hulk loses his specialness more and more with every single project that comes out. Now there are 6 different characters that are as strong as the Hulk. There's 4 Hulks running around. They just keep devaluing the Hulk so much, and that I don't like that, but it is what it is. All right, what's next?
Next up, Ben Rayner. Thank you so much.
Sends in $20.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that, man.
Hi, guys. Here's my personal Spielberg movie list. 1, Hook.
Love Hook.
2, E.T. 3, Raiders of the Lost Ark. 4, Catch Me If You Can. 5, Saving Private Ryan.
Well, there we go. And somebody else putting Save a Private Ryan. By the way, I came close to putting Hook on my list. I realize it's probably not even in my top 8, but I love Hook. Rob, you do? No, he doesn't like Hook.
Rufio.
It might be my least favorite Spielberg film.
Bangarang. Banger. I love Hook so much. It's magical to me. I love it so much. All right. Thanks a lot for that, Ben. Appreciate you for sharing your list. All right. What's next?
Next up, Stubble McShave. Thank you so much. He says, over under 8% Rocky dies off screen between future films.
Oh, future films? Maybe. I mean, that would be, here's the problem though. If they did that, it would be seen as being done completely out of spite. And I don't think that would go over well. I just honestly think that after this movie, if there's more, and we don't know that there will be, but after this movie, I don't think they'll ever just mention Rocky again.
I have a feeling Rocky's going to bring him to like a Trilla event to fight like a social media star. like if he would actually have him back in the ring if Sylvester Stallone was writing the next Rocky movie. I don't know.
All right, what's next?
Next up, Emin says, yesterday was the 8-year anniversary of Interstellar. Since then, only 1 hour and 8 minutes have passed on Miller's planet. Crazy.
I like that. He worked out the math of it. You know, it's funny. Like, there was a good stretch there up until, what was the newest one that he just did again with Robert Pattinson?
Oh, Tenet.
Tenet. Like, there was a good stretch there where, like, he couldn't do anything that wasn't amazing, right? Like, everything was utterly fantastic that he was producing. And then Tenet came out, which I still think is good, just one of his weaker projects to me. But it is nuts when you think about that. And Interstellar, I know, would you say that's his favorite movie of yours, or right up there?
No.
Oh, I thought you said it was.
No, I have a problem with the third act of Interstellar. I really love Jonathan Nolan's script, and Christopher Nolan changed it when he took over as director. It had a lot more science, believe it or not, more science fiction in it. It still had the elements, but I really like Interstellar a lot. I love the way it feels. And at the end of the day, the idea of the love between, the fact that love is a quantifiable part of the universe is interesting. And I really like that. That really wasn't in the original script, and he brought that. But, you know, for me, my favorite Christopher Nolan movie is Inception.
Mine too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Inception's huge for a lot of people.
I saw it 8 times in the theater.
You still haven't seen it?
No.
Oh man.
All right. What's next?
Next up, James Argenta. Over under 15%, Andor gets outside help to escape prison.
Under. I don't think there's any, I just don't see there being any way. Number one, nobody knows he's there.
Yeah, nobody knows he's in prison.
So nobody knows he's there. And even if they did, there's no breaking into that place. No. So this is going to be him and Andy Serkis. Of course, we did not know Andor was going to turn into a Snoke origin story, but him and Andy Serkis are going to find a way to get out. I cannot wait. I cannot
You think
wait.
Andy Serkis is getting out?
No.
Yeah, no.
Nope. I think we know a couple of those characters get out because we recognize a couple of those characters from Rogue One, but Andy Serkis ain't getting out. I mean, I hope he does.
3-episode arc, great cameo though.
Yep.
Comes in. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Next, Jay Master, thank you so much. It says, Deadline yesterday broke news that Lin-Manuel Miranda has joined the cast of Disney Plus Percy Jackson series as Hermes, or how do you say that? Hermes, the God Messenger.
Yeah, I saw that, and I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I love Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
But when he's not in a musical, well, hell, even when I didn't love him in Mary Poppins.
Yeah, me neither. I
Didn't
don't know
love
why.
him in Mary Poppins.
Big shoes to fill, but you know,
Yeah,
the Dick Van Dyke vibe.
Yeah, and I asked myself that question, like, am I just looking for Dick Van Dyke in the role? But it really wasn't that. I just didn't think it was the right fit for him, even though he's an incredible song and dance guy. But like, I really liked the small part he gave himself in the Heights, just as the snow cone guy. Like, I loved him in that. I think he's terrific, but I don't know how I feel about that with him playing Hermes in this. But then again, I don't have a sense of what the show is going to feel like overall. So maybe once I start watching, I'll have a different opinion.
So they added him, and before that, they added Edge from.
Oh
right?
yeah, that's right. I forgot who Edge is playing in it though.
Edge the wrestler?
Yeah. Right. Come on.
Well,
He's got a significant role in
Why
this.
is he here? Why is this guy here?
No. You know what? I ask myself that question every day. Right?
All right, what's next?
Kurt, thank you so much. It says, Ray, do you think Halo Season 1 would have been better as a movie?
No, it's fine. I mean, it's different. It's fine. It's fine the way it is. Because if it were a movie, then we won't get no season 2, which I'm looking forward to.
I'll tell you what. I am not a Halo guy. I like the series.
It's
it had
way
one or
different,
two
but-
episodes that for me that were pretty damn slow, and it's like I'm not quite even sure what the purpose of that episode was. A couple of them, but by the time it ended, I'm like, yeah, if there was another episode on next week, I would be tuning in. So I enjoyed it.
I bailed on it because of what I was talking about. I was a big Halo fan. I wanted to actually see what the story that they actually in that first game ever, and then they went so like different canon with it, and they took their own version of it, and that's fine. If you liked it, you liked it. I wanted to see that actually come to life, and I bailed on it pretty quick.
Let me ask you this: do you think you would have still bailed on it had you never played the original Halo?
Maybe not. No,
because that's the perspective I'm coming. Right, I never actually played Halo.
But maybe because once they went, the first episode I didn't mind, but then they went into the same thing, the lone cub thing again, and it was like
I will say one thing: you got to see that cliffhanger at the end, Christian, because
season 1.
It might be season 2 might take you. You might like it.
I did really like the finale. Again, it's not going to end up being a top 20 show for me in the last couple of years, but I enjoyed it. I liked it.
I don't even know if they're working on season 2 or if it's done.
All right, what's next?
Next up, Faminator. Buy one, rent one, lose one.
Oh, I hate this. I always just say pass, but go ahead.
Shang-Chi, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Crazy Rich Asians.
I'm going to pass. I'm just going to pass on that.
That's rough.
I love all those movies.
Oh,
Everything Everywhere All at Once. Right now, at this moment, and this may change in the next couple of weeks, it's still my number one movie of the year. But I have not seen Fabelmans. And there's a couple of big ones coming down the pipe that I have not watched yet that I'm going to be watching soon. So that may get shifted around. The Whale may get, I don't know. So that may move around a little bit. For now, still my favorite movie of the year. Shang-Chi, though, for me has been, it's been the best movie of Phase. It's been the best anything of Phase 4. I think it might be a top 5 MCU movie. So I completely love that. And as far as Crazy Rich Asians go, that's something that's in very, very rare supply these days in the last 10 years or so. A really good straight up comedy. And even it had some emotion to it, had some really good observations, all that kind of stuff. But it was just a great, wonderful little comedy that I had a great time with and really surprised me. So,
a romantic comedy.
And a romantic comedy too at that. So I'm just going to pass.
You know what the worst part of those questions are? Is they never give their own answer. Come on, I want to know what you do because this is a tough one.
I thought you were going to say that they don't put the terminal in it.
No, they don't. They don't give what they would buy or rent or whatever.
By the way, I don't know. Did you hear about our programming revolution that we're doing here at the John Campea Show?
Oh yes.
No, tell me.
Yeah, starting Friday, we are. I was going to say we're going to change YouTube. We're going to change the world.
Go ahead, tell me.
Because starting Friday, we have a new segment called the Morbius Minute.
Oh.
Where Ray Ora every Friday will review 1 minute.
I like
of
that.
Morbius.
I like that. I'll tune in.
It's going to take about 2.5 years.
Because I've been watching it since it came out, like on streaming, and
30 seconds
every 30 seconds while you're in the toilet.
It's
I can't
going to
make
be
it through,
the best.
man. So
Yeah.
this one, I'll have a reason to make it through.
The
Hopefully.
toilet or
blast.
Morbius.
The toilet and Morbius.
Oh,
Wait till
I
you
get
see the
through to the
thumbnail. Wait till you see the thumbnail.
Sure.
I mean, it's something else. All right, let's keep going here. What's next?
Miguel, thank you so much. It says, what do you guys think Momoa was teasing when he said, greatest day of my life under Gunn? And Gunn posting a pic of Lobo on Twitter. Any connection?
I just heard about this.
No way.
Oh my.
Yeah, look, somebody once asked, what do you think of Jason Momoa playing Lobo? And I remember at the time saying, hey, if you had asked me that a couple of years ago, bangarang. I mean, yeah, that works. That's great. That's Hook Reference, by the way. But he's already in the DCU. He is, and yeah, he'll look a little bit different with the makeup, but it's still clearly going to be Jason Momoa, so you can't do it. And then we hear Momoa come out yesterday and say something really cryptic about, I just got the greatest news of my life, can't talk about it yet, blah, blah. And now, look, let's put it this way. We're going to dig into it a little bit more, and we're going to talk about it more on the John Campea Show tomorrow, but I don't know enough about it to say anything other than it's very, very interesting.
I could see it working just quickly if it was a standalone, like Joker.
Like Joker?
In its own world.
Yeah, that would work. That's one of the great things about these standalone. Not everything has to be in your bloody shared cinematic universe. It gives you that kind of flexibility that you can tell those types
and not
of stories.
even like
Why are you pointing,
multiverse.
John?
Because this is your fault, Ray. Because this is you. You do
Yeah,
this.
Ray.
Look, man, you know what? If Stallone can play John Rambo, Rocky Balboa, and Marion Cobretti, then
Well,
Jason Momoa can play.
Sylvester Stallone is playing two characters in the DCU right now. He plays the leaders of one of the Ravagers and Guardians, and he's King Shark.
That's Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
What's that?
Marvel and DC.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
But
I
it
got- I
doesn't.
got
But
confused.
the main thing is,
He's in both.
it doesn't matter. Lobo is an alien from space. So
Oh, he is?
yeah, yes, he is. He's just the last Saurian.
I remember one of the first things I ever read with Lobo in it was one of those DC Marvel amalgam things because they had Lobo fighting Wolverine, which is really interesting.
Dude, if you could, Jason Momoa is Lobo. He talks like Lobo. He looks like Lobo. Just paint him white and put the makeup on his face. He's done.
All right,
Space
what's
motorcycle.
next?
Next, Radio says, didn't even mention the best Spielberg film. My favorite film of his and of all time is Jurassic Park. I know I said mine was. That made me top 5. Just shows how great his filmography is.
I mean, that's true. Look, you think, okay, come up with the director's top 5. Okay, well, but when it's Spielberg, you're talking about what 28 films do we leave off the top 5?
Right.
Because, like, yeah, he's got 1941, and yeah, but all he does is make good stuff.
Duel.
Yep.
I love
Great.
Duel.
I love Duel's great. Anyway, all right. Thanks a lot, man. What's next?
Wayne Edwards, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like a
$20.
$20 super chat. Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate that, man.
Happy Taco Tuesday. Who has the rights to the Images comics properties? There are many amazing characters and stories that can be tapped into, and not just superheroes. The sci-fi and horror comics are great as well.
Vin Diesel just did, was it Bloodshot?
That's Valiant.
Oh, that was Valiant. That's
Yeah.
right. And I couldn't remember who does have the rights to Image Comics.
Valiant was a company that owned its characters. Image Comics were creator owned.
That's right.
Like
yep.
Spawn was Image. Young
Well,
Blood
because it was
Image.
founded by a bunch of these rebel artists, rebel
Jim
comic creators.
Valentino and
Yep.
Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane. So they owned their comics. Image was the banner that they created to release their comics, but they were creator owned. So whatever Image Comics you probably are thinking of, the creator owns them.
But I mean, have they sold the movie rights
Right, well,
to any of those? And I just don't know. The
yeah,
answer
I
to
don't
that
know.
question.
I mean, like Sam Keith did the Max. Remember when they did the Max on MTV? That was really cool.
That's a really good question. We'll keep our eyes open for that. All right, what's next?
Matt Boyle. Hey, John, what are your predictions for this coming Sunday for Yellowstone premiere? Woo.
No idea. I mean, the trailer broke all types of online records when it dropped. To me, it is the best show on television right now is Yellowstone. I love this thing. But you know what? As excited as I am about the Yellowstone premiere for season 5, I got to say I'm equally excited for Tulsa King.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first heard about the show, I'm like, really? But then the more I thought about it, and then when I started seeing the previews for it, I'm like, you know what? I'm getting really damn excited for this. And I think it could be fantastic.
Stallone looks great in it.
Yeah,
it does.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm like, why you bitch, dude? You got a TV show coming out. Like, come on. You got Expendables and Tulsa King. You're the king of media right now.
And
You
correct
got
me if
back
I'm
together
wrong.
with your wife.
Yep.
I'm not 100% sure, but isn't his boss in the show Turtle?
Oh my
he
gosh, from Entourage?
Yeah. Is
It
Jerry
might
Ferrara?
very well
I
be.
didn't recognize him.
yeah, isn't that like I could be wrong about that, but because he's only on Guys in Live Chat, but is that Turtle? Because the last time I saw him was in one of my favorite comedies the last bunch of years called Las Vegas, where he becomes kind of like a lackey to the four main guys. Anyway, I can't remember if that was him or not, but anyway. All right. Oh, actually, James Eat Moans says in the live chat, yes, it is. Okay, so maybe it is.
Nice.
All right, what's next?
Next, Jay Master, thank you so much.
Oh, Seahawks are 6-3.
There you go.
I know that. Listen. I
Hey,
remember-
Uncle Pete and
I remember before the season started, I think it was the day before opening game, you and I chatted, Rob, and I said what a lot of people says, like, just you got to buckle in. This might be a bit of a rough season if you're a Seahawks fan. But I think everybody thought
it
that.
started rough too.
They have played out of their minds.
Yeah, no,
They
it's,
have overperformed. It's
and
great to watch.
again, not to belabor the point, some people don't love Uncle Pete as much as I love Uncle Pete,
I
but
love Pete Carroll.
he's shaped a team, and he's really, they started out a little rough, but they have come together, and they're at the top of their division, and if they keep playing like this, I'm very excited.
You know who's not 6-3? Russell Wilson.
Broncos.
The Broncos. All right, what's next?
Next, Amin says, if Zaslav was running Disney, do you think he would fire Kathleen Kennedy?
No, she makes too much money.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think listen, and therein lies the paradox, right? Because could they be making now? You could say now she's costing them money because we were just talking
not
about
making movies,
it's
right.
been there's been like they ran certain things into the wall so hard that they put out no product. It's difficult to generate income when you're not putting out product, and it seems like they can't get their chicks in a row for getting their product out there. We keep hearing now this thing's announced, this thing. So you know what? If Zaslav were to walk in and take over Disney today, not necessarily when Chapek took over, but walked in there today, yeah, he might pull the trigger and make a leadership change there.
I think he would not make a leadership change, but say, we're not sitting on these movies anymore.
Yeah.
Make one,
Yeah.
or then we're going to make a leadership.
Because
yeah,
they do have-
you're probably right.
They got Indy 5 coming out, which is a big deal.
Yep. That's
So-
gonna make a lot of money. That movie.
I hope so.
It's I can't wait for you guys. The trailer, it's one of the best trailers I've seen in a long time.
Well, the trailer looked great. I mean, there's no doubt the trailer looked really
hope the
fun and
movie's
really
good, man.
wonderful. But I just wonder if people are going to be willing to come back after Crystal Skull. I don't know. I hope
Mangold,
they will.
Mangold will get people.
I hope so because James, like obviously, like everybody else, I was heartbroken when we found out Spielberg was walking from it. But if you're going to replace him with anybody, Mangold is a name that's way up there. So here's hoping he can bring a little of that Logan magic to Indy. All right, what's next?
Next, Love Daedreborn says, have you heard the rumor that Owen Wilson as Agent Mobius will be in Deadpool 3?
Look, any place that starts with these rumors is just talking out of their ass. Look, anything is possible. I ain't going to sit here and tell you that's impossible, that absolutely not, it won't happen. But right now, anybody can throw out any rumor they want. The reality is nobody actually knows. So I'm going to say I doubt it. I doubt it. All right, what's next?
Next, Jamie Sunday says, saw Banshees of Inisherin. It was fantastic.
Yep. Again, had my tickets for the other night. Something came up and we couldn't go. And so I'm still like, I have to watch this movie. I'm so excited about it. Have you had a chance to check this one out yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I'm dying to. It just broke my heart on Friday when we had to give up our tickets. But anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I can't wait to see it. Everybody that I've known that's seen it says it's just remarkable. So here's hoping I get to see it soon. All right, what's next?
Next, Zelda Master 702. And who's the president of Creed 3 Sucks Club? You guessed it, Frank Stallone. Facts.
That,
Norm Macdonald. is the
listen,
best.
I am all for standing by your brother. I'm all for that. And you know what? If your brother's in a fight, you jump into the fight with him. I get it, and I respect that. But pull the reins back just a little
Did you
bit.
get that quote, that reference though?
Was that Norm Macdonald?
Norm Macdonald
Yeah.
had a whole bit outside of it. And you guessed it, Frank Stallone.
Yeah, I just when he gets into the like Michael B. Jordan is a mediocre talent at best. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, no, let's not get irrational here. Let's say you're upset, say you think this is an injustice, all you want, but let's not get.
I mean, it's
silly.
his first time directing a feature film. Like, come on, as a fellow filmmaker, get behind the man and hopefully support him in his endeavor.
All right, what's next?
Michael Anderson, thank you so much for your
Oh, yeah,
contribution.
$20 super chat. Thank you, Michael.
Hey, John, been a fan since the AMC days. Just curious, do you still have a relationship with some of the old crew like Mark and Ken?
I really don't stay in touch with many people of significance. Yeah, no, I can't think of anybody that has any relevance at all that I still keep in touch with.
Yeah, there's no one. Me neither.
Oh, wait, Christian's here. I mean, honestly, like me and Dennis talk all the time. Obviously, Christian's here. But honestly, no, Mark and I will social media message each other back and forth now and again. But he's doing a lot of stuff with Rotten Tomatoes and
he's
other things like
working
that.
on. He's taping his own live special beginning of December
Yeah.
in LA.
And I talked to Ken a while ago, but what's he up to now?
Ken's been doing a lot of stand up lately.
He's
been
more
going on. He's been on the road with.
He is
with
one
Mark
of the
a lot.
funnier guys in this entire.
And he's gotten
space. He's one of the
significantly
funniest guys.
funnier on stage, where he's been going with Mark a lot on the road. So if you guys have a chance, you go to, I'll give Mark a plug. You go to markellis.live and you can find tickets for him and Ken all the time.
All right, what's next?
Next, Jai CSC, lost my job with the Coast Guard.
Oh no.
Tried to rescue a hippie swept out to sea, but couldn't. He was too far out. I regret nothing, even though I should.
What?
That's
I'm missing the reference.
it's not a reference. It's a dad joke.
Oh,
Dad
I tried to
joke?
rescue a hippie. He was too far out.
I butchered the delivery because I'm thinking, I didn't know
Man,
I
there's
was
some-
doing a joke.
You got to tell every time you show up, tell me a dad joke. And I have to admit, they're dad jokes, but this one was pretty good. You told me two. Give me one of them.
Oh, okay. I speak of my dad. I gotta get my kids. They're gonna be late at school.
Yeah, we gotta wrap this
Hold
up
on.
here quick.
I can't. I'll tell you some more, and I'll tell some next time I'm here. One more.
All right, what's next? Let's keep going here.
Super Crazy Movie Geek says, what is your excitement level for Indiana Jones 5?
Listen, I'm super excited that it's James Mangold doing it. I'm very pumped to see India, but there's been so much that's happened over the years that keeps sapping enthusiasm out of it. The years of delays, the departure of Steven Spielberg, and all that kind of stuff. So I know I will be excited. I know when we get to within the couple of weeks of the movie coming out, I know then I will be excited. I got to admit, right now, it's hard for me to build up a lot of enthusiasm at the moment, even though there's some really good things.
Through the
there.
roof. It's one of the most. And when I make my anticipated list, it might be close to the top.
Right now, how many more questions do we have to go here? Eight. Well, I tell you, you know what, Christian, you've got to go pick
Gotta
up
get
your
my
kids.
kids.
So we're gonna say goodbye to you.
Thank
But
you,
before you
everybody.
take off, where can people go and follow you and subscribe to you and all that kind of
Well,
stuff?
thank you. Ray and I have been talking about it too, and Ray and I told John about this too, and I'm going to regret doing this, but I'm trying to get to 70,000 subscribers on my channel. If I do it by December 31st, I'm going to let Ray or hit me in the face with a pie on this show at the end of the year, and I might even let my dad joke compartment over here do it at the same time as well. But you can find me at Christian Harloff on my YouTube channel. Thank you guys. I'm sorry I hate bailing mid-show, but I just my kids are going to be like,
we're
where's my
almost done
father?
anyway.
All right, thank you
All right,
guys.
Take care. And Ray is like, have you ever heard of a brick pie? All right,
Later, dudes.
let's keep going here. What's next?
Next up, Rob the Knight says, you've often said the Avengers are missing leadership. How different would the MCU Phase 4 look if T'Challa/Chadwick didn't die?
I still don't think he's the leader of the Avengers.
No.
Don't forget, T'Challa is king of a country. T'Challa has very focused responsibilities, or had very focused responsibilities. So even if T'Challa is still around, I don't think T'Challa is a significant leader of a part involved with the Avengers, but like a de facto leader of the Avengers, I don't think he would have been, Rob.
I don't think so either. I mean, I wouldn't want him to be leader of the Avengers because, like you said, I like the fact that he's tied to Wakanda and is navigating those international waters. Well, he was leader.
All right, what's next?
Next, Zelda Master 702, thank you so much. He says, vote today.
Yep, for people in the United States, it's a big voting day. Make sure you guys get out and vote today. All right, what's next?
Carlos Sosa, got my tickets to Wakanda Forever, AMC Prime Americana.
I I am very excited. I bought my tickets the moment they became available. I'm seeing the 3 p.m. show on Thursday, so clearly no open mic on Thursday. I'll have a right out of the theater reaction, of course, on Thursday. Got my tickets as well. Can't wait for it, man. It's going to be awesome. All right, what's next?
Next, Ben Brainer. Hi. Oh, thank you so much. $20. Better director, Ryan Coogler or James Mangold?
They're two very different filmmakers that make very different types of films. Listen, right now, if I was a producer and I had a big project and I had to really lean on a director, I might go James Mangold right now just because he has a longer track record right now, right? But listen, Ryan Coogler is going to have that same track record at some point. So right now, just with a little bit more experience and a little bit more diversity in the types of films they've made, I probably lean towards Mangold. But I mean, if I was a producer and was able to get Ryan Coogler directing my movie, that would be a good day too.
Absolutely.
All right, what's next?
Next, Vetos Locos Forever says, I invested all my money in Sylvester Stallone action figure me. Finances are a little rocky.
Okay.
No, guys, just stop. Just stop.
I don't even know.
Stop.
Oh, was
Stop
that
right
another joke?
I just realized what happened over here? Where
What?
did you come from?
What do you mean? I've always been here. It's Tuesdays. I'm always on Tuesday.
I'm always on Tuesdays.
Spot.
What's going on?
You know, it's funny. I announced.
You know,
I don't know. I
one of
think
the schmoes.
things are getting out of control here. Like I did my After Dark show last night, and I mentioned they say, "Oh, hey, you know, John," and I mentioned that Jonathan is kind of like the second in command around here. He's our director of operations.
I act
He's
like
kind
it
of in
too.
charge. But yeah, listen, he's just taking liberties. Just walked up here, just grabbed a seat.
It's two more questions. I'm just sitting here. I'm just seat filling. I don't even have to say
It's
anything.
like you're at the Oscars.
Yeah, I'm just
Seat
seat filling.
filler. All right, what's next?
Next, Nikita says, so this journalist reported that his friend / contact saw a test screening of Ridley Scott's Napoleon this past Thursday, November 3rd at the Grove in
There's no part two.
And never got
No,
a part two in there.
So close.
Let me
doing
see the question again. Bring it up again.
It's called Kit Bag, or it was called
Reported
Kit
his
Bag
friend's
or whatever.
contact saw a test screening of friends and employees at the Grove, and
Trying to see
I-
where you are.
I don't know. I get very dubious when I hear reports of a test screening that doesn't come from the studio itself, because you sign like heavy NDAs when you go into these things and stuff like that. I don't believe it most of the time.
Well, I mean, I used to go to those screenings. They're NRG screenings.
I've been to a couple of them myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they do a lot of them. But the thing is, it's kind of par for the course. This isn't unusual. They do it with most films.
Yeah.
So it's not like, ooh, they did this screening. They pretty much do it all with all movies.
I have a feeling he's probably
So-
going to mention, the point of the post is probably going to mention in part two that what their reaction to it was.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll have to wait with Baby.
I would
Breath
imagine,
on
I would
that.
hope it would be good, because it's Ridley Scott doing a Napoleon movie.
Who's playing Napoleon?
Joaquin
again? It
Phoenix
is Joaquin
is.
Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
That's right, because the first images of Joaquin got released the other day as Napoleon. That actually could be really good. I
Yeah.
hope it is. All right, what's next?
Next, okay, INS. Brendan Fraser was my childhood hero when he played George of the Jungle. Me too. So good. So
Of
good.
course, and he had
His wife, Apatow, Leslie Mann.
Leslie Mann. I was going
Yep.
to say Judd Apatow's. Look at him there. Oh my! Look how young he is there.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember a lot of women would swoon over Brennan back in those George of the Jungle days.
Oh,
Did you
even the
watch that
mummy,
one as a
even
kid?
the mummy days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, George came prior to the Mummy ones, right?
Before that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame. You heard the story, right, about how they were going to do the Mummy 4,
Yeah.
and it got, I think we talked about on the show, and then how that got derailed because
Yeah.
of something else. I mean, it's real unfortunate. I don't think they're going to make more Mummy movies, but it's too bad. All right, what's next?
Next, Aiden Foley, thank you so much for your
Oh, he just sends in a
contribution.
super chat to be supportive. And guys, that'll do it. Oh, wait a second, Rob.
One last thing. I just need to say this, because he whispers
'Cause
this stuff
Christian
into
isn't
my
here
ear.
anymore.
This is Christian's dad joke. What did the ocean say to the shore?
What did the ocean say to the shore?
Nothing. It just waved.
Oh boy.
That's what we're going to
That's what you were laughing at?
Wow.
That's what you thought
It's
was
because
funny?
Christian lays on these dad jokes to me during the show, and I can't. Now I've inflicted it upon you.
Yeah.
This is
me.
what happens when, and you.
All right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making the show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who send in the super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for your support. Don't forget, a little bit later this afternoon at 3 p.m., that's like 2.5 hours from now, Rob and I will be back doing a series of open mic. So make sure you guys come on back and join us for that. And don't forget, of course, to come back and join us for the John Campea Show tomorrow. As far as what you can do with this video, do us a favor. Click that subscribe button. Go ahead and click the thumbs up button on this video. Leave a comment down below. All that stuff helps spread our videos out to a wider audience. So for everybody in the room, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, Jonathan Voico, for some reason, thanks for your heavy contribution.
Yeah. When you bring in, when you need the heavy hitter,
you bring him in. Yeah. Sitting over there, of course, Ray Orr has been joining you guys in the live chat. Taylor's done a pretty damn good job switching the show today.
Jonathan, I think I did a good enough job. I'll let you have the day off tomorrow. What do you think about that?
Sounds good, but I guess you can reach me by phone?
Yeah, if anything goes seriously wrong. And of course, Kaylee Robinson is here as well. My name's John Campea, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.